Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your home for all the breaking Liverpool news and transfer drama. And today, we've got a huge story that could change everything. Aleksandar Isac, Newcastle's star striker, is at the center of a stunning transfer twist, with a little-known FIFA rule that could hand Liverpool the upper edge. From fiery pundit reactions to rumors of a 120-millimeter move, this saga has it all. Stick around, because you don't want to miss this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. UAE. Little-known FIFA rule means Aleksandar Isac could force through Liverpool move and Newcastle would be powerless. Aleksandar Isac could leave Newcastle as a free agent next summer thanks to a FIFA rule change. The Swedish striker would have the opportunity to rip up his contract 2 years early in June 2026. It comes as he remains at a stalemate with the Magpies regarding his future at St. James. Isak is not currently training with the first team squad and missed Saturday's Premier League opener against Aston Villa. Liverpool have been keen on signing the 25-year-old throughout the summer after having a $110 million rejected earlier this month. However, Newcastle have reiterated Isac is not for sale after he claimed the club had broken promises in a bombshell statement. ESPN's Gabriele Marcotti has now revealed that a tweak to FIFA's transfer rules could allow the forward to force through an exit. It follows a legal case involving former Real Madrid midfielder Lassana Diarra last year. Following a court ruling, FIFA were forced to change Article 17 of their regulations on transfer and status of players. The alterations removed the governing body's power to withhold a player's transfer certificate if they breached their contract to join a new club for free. FIFA had previously been able to block the move until the matter had been resolved. The burden of proof has also shifted to the club losing the player to prove the signing club colluded with him to breach their contract. How can Isac leave Newcastle for free? As a result, Isac could potentially join a new club as a free agent next summer if Newcastle do not sell him before the end of the current window. Article 17 can be invoked within 15 days of the final match of the season. With the Toon Army's final Premier League fixture of this term, scheduled for May 24, 2026, this would give Isac until June 8th to unilaterally breach his contract and be free to sign for a new club on July 1st, 2 years before his deal expires. Although Newcastle would be entitled to compensation, this figure could be as little as half of Liverpool's rejected bid, says Marcotti. That figure is determined by the damage suffered by the club in relation to FIFA's positive interest principle. The process is applied on a case-to-case basis, with Marcotti stating that in this instance, Isac's remaining wages, his value to Newcastle and the cost of replacing him would be considered. Newcastle would also be able to appeal any compensation decision by FIFA to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. However, whilst this could take up to 2 years, the rule changes would allow Isac to join a new club immediately. It would mean the team signing him can do so for free without having to pay a transfer fee for potentially 2 years. The prospect of having to wait so long to receive compensation could force Newcastle into selling Isac this month. Since his arrival from Real Sociedad in 2022, he has scored 62 goals in 109 appearances for the club. Isac also found the net in the club's Carabao Cup final victory last season as they ended their 70-year wait for a major domestic trophy. Liverpool have perfect 120 meters Aleksandar Isac transfer alternative for Premier League title repeat. Liverpool transfer news and rumors as the Reds search for attacking reinforcements in the final weeks of the window rumbles on "It's the summer of the strikers," some might say. For Liverpool, it's been a solid transfer window so far, but there's still work to be done before the September 1st deadline. Hugo Ekitike already looks like a fantastic signing for the Reds, and a major coup at that. However, the lack of depth following the departures of Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz is a glaring concern as the new season gets underway. Of course, Aleksandar Isac remains the obvious target. Liverpool's ongoing interest says as much, and as things stand, they haven't completely abandoned their pursuit of the striker. That said, the likelihood of a deal being completed diminishes with each passing day. At some point, Liverpool will, rightly, need to reassess their options. It's a huge risk to enter the season with so few attacking choices. And despite Federico Chiesa's remarkable heroics against Bournemouth last week, it's clear the squad still lacks depth. Whether Liverpool decide to pivot toward a more versatile attacker, such as Rodrigo, with the intention of revisiting the Isak pursuit in January, remains to be seen. Alternatively, they may explore other striker targets, and Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez stands out as an intriguing option. The Argentina international was tentatively linked earlier this summer, but those rumors were quickly put to bed. There was also little to suggest the player would be open to a move, given he only joined the La Liga club last summer. A report from Spanish outlet Marca back in May claimed Liverpool had already made initial contact over a possible move, with Arsenal also in the mix should Alvarez become available. Barcelona would likely be well-positioned too, finances aside, given the player is believed to be happy in Spain. However, Atletico club president Enrique Cerezo seemingly shut down speculation in early June, telling Marca, "Julian Alvarez is an Atletico de Madrid player and will be an Atletico de Madrid player." There's also been speculation around Alvarez's release clause, with reports in the Spanish media suggesting it sits in the region of $500 million. That figure, make no mistake, makes any deal virtually impossible for any club, but such clauses in Spain are often intended as deterrents rather than realistic price tags. According to the CIS Football Observatory, Alvarez is still valued highly, comparable to Isak, at around $120 million. What may spark renewed interest, however, are recent claims that the player is unsettled at Atletico. Despite Alvarez scoring a stunning free kick in their La Liga opener, Diego Simeone's side suffered a 2-1 defeat to Espanyol. Now, El Chiringuito TV reports that Alvarez's entourage believe choosing Simeone's team may have been a mistake and are unhappy with his role under the manager. That report has since been contradicted by other Spanish journalists, who insist there's no issue between the player and the club. Alvarez remains under contract at Atletico until 2030, having signed a 6-year deal last summer. Where the truth lies remains unclear, but it's a situation Liverpool, and no doubt a number of their Premier League rivals, are likely keeping a close eye on. Alvarez is undoubtedly one of the most promising young strikers in Europe, despite previously struggling to displace Erling Haaland at Manchester City. He knows the Premier League well, though, and would no doubt hit the ground running should he return and help Arne Slot's side with their Premier League title defense. With just 12 days to go, the clock is ticking, and Liverpool have some big decisions to make in the meantime. Ali McCoist rages at Aleksandar Isac over Liverpool transfer saga. "I've got a problem. Aleksandar Isac has made it clear that he does not want to play for Newcastle again amid his current transfer saga, with a move to Arne Slot's Liverpool now on the cards. Aleksandar Isac has disappointed Newcastle's fans through his refusal to turn out for the club during his ongoing transfer dispute, according to Rangers icon Ali McCoist. The 25-year-old has made his position crystal clear that he has no intention of representing the club again, while pushing for a switch to Liverpool. Isac issued a statement on Tuesday, suggesting what he maintained were assurances that the club had failed to honor, though Newcastle swiftly responded to refute any such commitments had been given. This leaves Eddie Howe with no choice but to persist without the Swedish forward, with Liverpool visiting St. James's Park next Monday for what promises to be a thrilling Premier League encounter. Speaking on TalkSport, McCoist, who had previously condemned Isak's handling of the situation, once more emphasized that the striker had pursued his desired transfer through the incorrect channels, while he acknowledges that there are always multiple perspectives to consider. He believes Isak is primarily disappointing the Newcastle faithful with his present position. He said, "The right way to do it is, you put in a transfer request, or you have a chat with the manager and say, 'Look, I want to play my football somewhere else, whatever, and the manager will then sit down and have a chat with you. The way he went about it, you could clearly say, he had a problem with Newcastle, or a problem with somebody at Newcastle. My argument is he still shouldn't and can't do what he did. Throwing the toys at the pram is one thing, but actually making the statement that you're not going to play for the club again and let yourself down, let the fans down, that's where I've got a problem. I understand he'll feel let down, I get that, and we can argue about the rights and wrongs of the gentleman's agreement. Who's let them down? Are they out of order? Was it previous owners? Do the new owners feel obliged to honor a gentleman's agreement made by the previous owners? That's all up for debate, and that's a conversation that we can and will have. What's not up for debate is him throwing the toys out at the pram and then saying, I'm not playing for you anymore. I think he's particularly letting the fans down. Isak won't be available for Liverpool's visit to Tyneside on Monday, with Anthony Gordon expected to lead the line against Arne Slot's team once more. Aleksandar Isac has shot himself in the foot as Alan Shearer raises Newcastle suspicions. Alan Shearer says certain conditions would need to be met for Aleksandar Isac to get his desired move from Newcastle to Liverpool before the end of the transfer window. Alan Shearer has outlined the conditions for Newcastle to sell Aleksandar Isac to Liverpool, but he believes the striker has shot himself in the foot. Isak finally spoke out publicly following his attempts to force a move, accusing the club of breaking promises in a statement on social media. The club responded quickly by expressing disappointment at Isak's message and denying his claims, although they insist he could still return to the fold. He missed Saturday's opening day goalless draw with Aston Villa, and it'd be a surprise if he played under Eddie Howe anytime soon. Perhaps ever. Newcastle legend Shearer has been a vocal critic of Isak's and his agent's conduct surrounding the Saga, which has rumbled on for most of the summer. He believes the 25-year-old could still get the move he craves, but only if Newcastle bring in replacements and Liverpool can get closer to their $150 million asking price. One striker the Magpies are attempting to sign is Brentford's Yoane Wissa. Former England captain Shearer told Betfair, "My view is the same as it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. If Newcastle can get players in to replace him, and if Newcastle receive a bid they want to accept, then it may happen. If that doesn't happen, then he stays, and it becomes really messy. If Liverpool want him, then they put in an offer Newcastle will accept, and if Newcastle can get 2 players in because that's what they need, one to replace Isak and one to replace Callum Wilson, then fine. They've been trying to do that for the past 4 or 5 weeks and haven't been able to. Whether they can do that in the next 10 days is doubtful, but there's still time." Shearer believes Isak's statement will only harden Newcastle's resolve. He added, "I think we're just sat here guessing. But last night's statement hasn't done him any favors whatsoever in terms of trying to get Newcastle on side or forcing them into a decision. I think they'll just go the opposite way." Isak made his statement after being named in the PFA Premier League team of the season. He wrote, "I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To act now as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interests of everyone, not just myself." Newcastle refuted Isak's claims in a strong statement of their own, while leaving the door ajar to the players' reintegration into the squad. The club said, "We are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Aleksandar Isac this evening. Agreement close as Liverpool fine-tune new offer. Liverpool are close to an agreement on a transfer as the deadline approaches. They're fine-tuning a new offer. Liverpool have been exceptionally busy across this transfer window, but they're far from done. The Reds have some major deals in the pipeline after all. Aleksandar Isac is the best of those. Liverpool want to sign him from Newcastle United but need confirmation from the Magpies that they're actually willing to sell. Guehi's deal expires at the end of the season and Palace feel they have to sell. Only for the right price, mind. Then there are the sales. Liverpool want to move on a fair few players over the next week or so. One major sale could be close, too. Harvey Elliott to RB Leipzig Empire of the Klopp claims RB Leipzig are about to make an offer for Harvey Elliott. The playmaker has been linked with them for weeks now, and it seems like they've made enough progress to put an offer on the table. That offer would be for around $30 million or $25 million, a very low sum as we see it. But in signs, an agreement is very close. Liverpool feel they could negotiate add-ons that get the fee closer to $40 million. The insinuation here is that the Reds would be happy with that figure. That still seems low to us, honestly, but we imagine any clauses would benefit Liverpool greatly. After all, they've put buyback clauses in deals for Jarell Quansah and Ben Gannon Doak this summer. It's difficult to believe they wouldn't also ask for one in Elliott's transfer. What certainly is understandable is that this could move quickly. It appears Liverpool just want to fine-tune Leipzig's offer before getting this done, and it would be a very solid move for Elliott. He needs first-team football at this point in his career. Leipzig can give him that at a good level and with a brilliant reputation for developing players. Simon Jordan tells Liverpool what they need to hear over Newcastle's Aleksandar Isac. Who cares? Newcastle United have confirmed they do not expect to see Aleksandar Isac leave the club this summer. Isak wants to leave Newcastle and join Liverpool, who are yet to bid again after having their opening offer rejected earlier this summer. It's a messy situation, but Newcastle continue to insist that they do not see Isak leaving. Quite how the striker returns to the fold is up for debate. Supporters are in open revolt against him, and his public statement about broken promises is unlikely to have gone down well behind the scenes. There have been suggestions all summer that Liverpool do not want to pay $150 million for Isak. Clearly, that could still change, but even paying that figure wouldn't necessarily allow him to leave, as Newcastle would also need to sign replacements. Despite chasing strikers all summer, they are yet to actually land one. Liverpool value Isak at around $120 million. With their opening bid thought to have been around $110 million, pundit Simon Jordan has hit back. Simon Jordan slams Liverpool over Aleksandar Isac. Speaking on TalkSport, Jordan suggested no one should really care about how much Liverpool value Isak at. It is not their decision to make. If they do not believe he is worth the money Newcastle are asking for, then perhaps it's time to move on. Jordan suggested that there was indeed a way in which Isak could leave Newcastle, just that Liverpool are not prepared to meet their demands. He can get out of the club, he said. But Liverpool don't want to pay the price. Liverpool value him at $110 million. Who cares what you value him for?